innocent and it comes from a very innocent place, but it's also very naive because it has a misunderstanding of the purpose of intense emotions such as sadness, such as pain, such as anger, such as grief. We cannot live in just like the happy emotions. We cannot, this is called spiritual bypassing. It's also called toxic positivity. Okay, we cannot just be like, let's just love and light the pain away. Let's just meditate the pain away, journal away our feelings. It's really not about that. It's not about like pushing away the anger or pushing away. This is suppressing. Like on a fundamental level, this is emotional suppression. And so to have emotional intelligence and to have a well-rounded hello and welcome to Sync and Flow, the podcast with me, your host, Josie Thorne. I am a red tent women's circle facilitator, a womb healer, and feminine empowerment coach. I have been guiding women to embody their true essence through womb activations and feminine embodiment practices. I started Sync and Flow to help educate and connect women back to the wisdom of their sacred womb space and cyclical nature. I want to help all women reawaken to the true power of the feminine that lives deep within them, so that they may cultivate a relationship to self that is rooted in pure trust, divine love, and a deeply intuitive connection to the body. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. I hope you enjoy. Hello, lovelies, and welcome back to Sync and Flow, the podcast. I'm your host, Josie Thorne. If you are following on YouTube, please make sure to give us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to rate the podcast. It would mean so much to me. And if you send me a screenshot on Instagram at Josie_Thorne, that's JOSIE_THORNE. If you send me a DM with your screenshot of your rating and review, I will be sure to send you a little freebie to say thank you, a little gift from my heart to yours. Thank you so much. It really helped this content to reach a greater audience and for Spotify and Apple to know that people are actually enjoying this content. So please go do all of those things. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple and you're not following me on Instagram or YouTube, go do that as well. I release so much awesome content on there to stay involved, stay connected. We are syncing in with the flow of life, with feminine energy, with emotions, with life, love, sex, taboo, blood, tears, come. It's all the things. I love it all. I love it all. That I literally call myself like teacher of the taboo. I love talking about taboo topics. That's why we are here. We are here to destigmatize the taboo. We are here to engage with the taboo. I love helping to make the unconscious conscious, to bring the darkness into the light, so that we can also live more well-rounded lives, more balanced lives, more whole lives, okay? Because we cannot just exist in these one isolated sides of life. That means that we are not whole. And so our wholeness comes from a deep integration of both sides. So this is what today's conversation is really about. We are speaking about expanding our emotional capacity, especially when it comes to our capacity to feel hard things, to feel difficult emotions, and how important that is in our lives. It's so important because we live in a world where a lot of us are very numb to the tragedies that are going on in this world. You know, we are living life as normal when there are horrific things going on in this world, and we're just told to, you know, suck it up and get on with it because that's just how it is, when actually the system and the patriarchy really profits and is encouraged and supported by us being numb. It is benefited by us being numb and complacent and quiet quiet and silence and just okay with everything, because shit's not okay. Like, it's not okay that there has been 300 days of genocide in Gaza. It's not okay, right? It's not okay that the rate of trees being chopped down in the Amazon is faster than we can handle. It's not okay. Like, there are so many things in this world that are not okay, that we're just expected to be okay with. And so I think this is very interlinked with our collective numbness and our societal numbness, and how we're just expected to go along with life as normal, be okay with fucked up things, and think that we can just, outvote our way out of it. And unfortunately, that's not the way anymore, because if you've been paying attention, then you know that there is a greater agenda to keep us numb, to keep us disassociated, to keep us complacent, to keep us quiet and small. And I will not have that. I will stand up as a leader of the new earth and as someone who is willing to, be ostracized and alienated for speaking the truth, because I don't give a fuck. I am here to speak the truth because that's all I can do. I cannot sit by and keep quiet. It's not in me. I have my Mars in Libra, which means that I am an advocate for justice. I get very passionate around injustice, and it's important for me to speak out injustice and call out injustice. Come back to finding that balance from within so that we can achieve greater balance as a whole without. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. Much love to you all. To just give a quick shout out to my friend's wellness brand, Higher Beings. They are a South African plant supplement range. I have been using this women's health as balancing support for my hormonal health. It has really, really been helping me. My hormones have never been better than they are now. As you can see, my skin is so clear. My period is so regular. I don't experience cramps. I don't experience PMS. My cycle is a beautiful length, a beautiful color, a beautiful consistency. It flows. Just been having the most beautiful time living in a body with balanced hormones. It is so, so, so important that we balance our hormones as a first protocol for health as women, because our hormones really affect who we are on a daily basis. I speak about this a lot, but our hormonal health and our mental health, emotional health are intricately connected. To think that they are not is just a big fat lie and an illusion. And so balancing your hormones is the number one step in the direction of you living a happier, more balanced, healthier, calm life. So shout out to Higher Beings, to my friend Mishka Latib for giving me this bottle. She did not sponsor it or this episode. I'm just genuinely speaking about this product because I enjoy it. This is not an advert. And I think it's important that we as women are taking hormonal supplements, because we are not getting what we need from our diet. Our foods are severely micronutrient deficient, and so we need to be, as well as eating a healthy, balanced diet, we also need to be taking supplements that support our bodies in the processes that it needs. So this supplement has angelica roots powder, shatavari, ashwagandha extract, buchu, and pau de arco. It's completely plant-based, vegan suitable, and what I love about this supplement is it is plant-based, so it's bio-based, so it's completely 100% biologically available. Our bodies can absorb all of it because it's plant matter rather than being made in a laboratory with lab-produced B12 this, D3 that, blah, 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 blah. I often find that those form of supplements, they are chemically derived and they are not biologically available for our bodies, so they are very expensive, and then we end up like urinating out 80% of the supplement itself. So get yourself a hormone supplement. If you are based in South Africa, I will link Higher Beings website and Instagram page below. Go on, send them a message, tell Mishka you came from me, and maybe she will give you a sneaky little discount code. This one has really been helping me. I've been loving it. And if you are based in another country and you would like some hormonal supplement recommendations, or just, what ingredients to look out for, please feel free to DM me for some advice on that as well. I'm actually going to be releasing a freebie with a hormonal herbal support guide, so look out for that as well. Now let's get into the episode. Today I want to talk about something juicy. I feel like all the topics I like to talk about are quite juicy and spicy. Hashtag midheaven in Scorpio, if you know, you know. This was actually really spurred on because I launched a women's circle and I posted in a few WhatsApp groups about this women's circle with a description, and one of the points in the description was saying, like, helping women to embrace their dark feminine energy and connect to their erotic expression. And basically this spiritual love and light boy came at me in the DMs and basically said to me, like, how can you be promoting this? This is so, like, we don't allow dark magic in our channel. Like, this isn't life-giving. Like, I really don't resonate with this. I think you need to promote somewhere else. And I was just like, I think you're really misunderstanding, like, what I am trying to say. Like, dark feminine energy has nothing to do with black magic. It has nothing to do with evilness. It has nothing to do with anything bad, quote unquote. And so this really just spurred the inspiration in me to want to speak about the importance of cultivating dark feminine energy, and what is the difference between dark feminine and light feminine energy, and how we often get confused between darkness and toxicity. Okay, these are two different things. The one is like bad and toxic and degradative and like making you smaller and putting you down and like preventing your growth, and the other one is really just like allowing you to experience the range of being a human, of being a woman, and also the range of your wholeness, right? So let me just explain, like, what is a love and light only person? It's quite, if you're a spiritual person and you're involved in the spiritual community, you will know what this means, but let me just explain anyway. Like, a love and light person is a term given to someone who's just like, oh, you're angry, let's just meditate it away. Oh, you're upset, let's just hug it out. Oh, you are, XYZ, let's just like it away, and it's just like, it's innocent and it comes from a very innocent place, but it's also very naive because it has a misunderstanding of the purpose of intense emotions such as sadness, such as pain, such as anger, such as grief. We cannot live in just like the happy emotions. We cannot, this is called spiritual bypassing. It's also called toxic positivity. Okay, we cannot just be like, let's just love and light the pain away. Let's just meditate the pain away, journal away our feelings. It's really not about that. It's not about like pushing away the anger or pushing away. This is suppressing. Like, on a fundamental level, this is emotional suppression. And so to have emotional intelligence and to have a well-rounded understanding of what it means to be a human is to be able to feel the pain and the pleasure, the happiness and the sadness, the power of both of these dualities, because we live in a dual universe, okay? And so the only way that we can transcend the duality is by acknowledging both sides. It's about integrating our lightness and our darkness, our masculine and our feminine, the mental and the emotional, the physical and the spiritual. We have to integrate all of these polar opposites, otherwise we're not going to achieve wholeness. And this comes to emotional intelligence as well, right? We cannot just suppress or ignore or push away the things that we don't want to feel, especially the hard things that are hard to feel, because we haven't grown up, being taught how to feel hard feelings. If we feel anger, we cannot just like push it away. And unfortunately, that is the society that we've grown up in, is a society that just says like anger isn't a valid emotion, or you're overreacting, or just get over it, right? We always told this, like, the sayings like big boys don't cry, big girls don't cry. This is actually a very, very toxic way of dealing with our emotions, because I shared a reel around it last night, like emotions buried alive do not die, okay? We cannot just suppress our anger, suppress our pain, suppress our sadness. This is what we have been conditioned to do because we think it is not productive to feel hard things. It's a waste of time to spend a whole day like reflecting and feeling and being in that messiness, because newsflash, emotions are messy, okay? Being a human is messy business. Rarely it is. And so there's a very big trend, especially in like the spiritual wellness community, around like this hygienic healing. Healing should look like this, and it's proper and it's ordered and it's structured and it's hygienic, and like, everything has its place. And I call a fat BS on this, because like healing is messy, feeling is messy, being a human is messy, okay? This is why I am so passionate about dealing with the taboo, coaching people to embrace the taboo aspects of being a human. This is related to the blood, the sweat, the tears, the cum, the sex, the emotions, the darkness, all of these things that have been made taboo. That is actually where our power is, because we have suppressed and ignored, disconnected ourselves from these quote unquote lower aspect of being human, because we have kind of put emotions on a hierarchy. We have grown up with emotions on a hierarchy, which means that we subconsciously see or consciously see things like sadness to be bad, and then things like happiness to be good. And so this is really, really dangerous, because it means that we will idolize the one, such as happiness, but then mistrust and disconnect ourselves from the other, which is sadness. And so the more we do that, the more we actually create cracks in our soul. We create cracks in our being, in our energy field. We start to shatter ourselves, because to be a human and to live in a body is to feel deeply. It is to feel hard things. I made a reel about this a little while ago, and it was really speaking about how pain shapes us into who we are. Struggle shapes us into who we are. But then we have our pleasure to remind us of who we are. No one ever became the best version of themselves by ignoring hard things. It seems counterintuitive, but like the only way that we become strong and resilient and empowered, and that we get to know ourselves on this deep level, is by going through challenge, is by feeling hard emotions, is by going through painful experiences. And so there's a part of us that resists this because of the culture that we have grown up in. We are the now generation. We want everything now. We don't want to have to struggle. We don't want to have to work. We don't want to have to put in the hard effort and work required to get the thing. We want it instantly. We want it to be easy. We want to rather choose the comfortable over the discomfort. Recently, I started watching this YouTube channel, and they're all about traveling to like destinations such as like Libya and Sudan and Iran, and places that have really been, by the mainstream media very much targeted as dangerous or high risk, or there's a lot of prejudice and projection around these countries. And so their motto is seek discomfort. And so this is really what it comes down to, is the fact that discomfort is going to make you grow and become stronger and more whole on the inside so much faster than just staying comfortable, just living in happy fairyland, okay? And so we have to be able to find this balance. It's important to feel the deep, hard things, but at the same time, it's important to not get stuck there. It's important to not become too attached or over identified with the pain. So there are these two things, there's on the one hand, we suppress and ignore and numb feeling hard things. And then on the other hand, sometimes we can get stuck in this vicious emotional cycle where we become over identified with the pain, with the hard things, with the struggle. So how do we find a happy medium? This is the question. This is a journey that I have gone on my entire life, finding the happy medium between feeling the hard things, but also not becoming overly attached to the hard things. It takes a lot of emotional maturity to be able to do this. It takes a lot of self-understanding, emotional resilience, and just the willingness to feel, the willingness to experiment, because there is no right or wrong. We have to move beyond this. There is one right way to feel, or there's a wrong way to feel, or there's a right or wrong way to process your emotions. There is no right or wrong, and different people will benefit from processing their emotions in different ways. But it's important to know that it all comes down to the body. You cannot outthink your emotions. You cannot outthink your hard feelings. And this is another problem that we face in society. We have become overly identified with being in the mind. We have become overly identified with thinking our way through problems, problem solving with the mind, the intelligence of the mental faculty. But I will tell you a secret. Your body holds multiple intelligences. You have a heart intelligence, you have a gut intelligence, you have a throat intelligence, and if you're a woman, you have a womb intelligence. You also have a sex intelligence, okay? Your sex organs have their own intelligence. We need to be able to disidentify with only the mind and learn practices and tools that help us bring our awareness out of the mind and back into the body. If you want to learn more about this, I have a podcast episode called The Epidemic of Disembodiment. It's really, really profound, and I speak a lot around this over-identification with the mind and how it's causing us so much problems and is really creating all of these mental health disorders that we see so common in our society today, because we are just putting too much pressure on this mental space. We have too much energy that is stuck up here. We have become top heavy, and so we are falling over and becoming topsy-turvy because we are imbalanced, okay? We are too much energy, too much pressure, too much weight in this top half of our body, and then not enough energy and awareness and connection to the lower half of our body, to the actual density of our body, to the lower chakras, if you understand it through that lens. We are overstimulated in the top chakras, the throat, the third eye, and the crown, and we are understimulated in the lower chakras, the roots, the sacral, and the solar plexus, manipura. What we need to do is we need to learn tools that can help bring us from the top into the bottom half of our body. And this is through grounding practices like exercise, like yoga, embodiment practices, anything that's going to get you into your body and get you feeling sensations and being present with the sensation of being present in a body, pain or pleasure, hot or cold. There's so many different sensations that we can play with. If you've done Vipassana, you will also understand what I'm talking about. So it's really around how can we come back to balance? Because like I said, you cannot outthink the hard feelings. You cannot outthink your emotions. Emotions are just energy in motion, and you have to process them through the body, through cathartic methods, through punching a pillow, through crying your eyes out, through screaming, through, bashing your hands onto the bed, through just allowing yourself to go into that quote unquote crazy kind of disordered, chaotic experience. Because this is the feminine. The feminine is chaotic. The masculine is structured. And so the feminine energy is connected to our emotions. And so if we are not connecting to our emotions and connecting to our feminine energy, this is when we become imbalanced and we become over-identified with one side and polarized in one side of being. And this is when we start to struggle to become integrated. We start to struggle to become whole. We start to struggle to be able to flow between our masculine and feminine, be able to flow between logical and rational and being emotional and creative. Okay, so all of these emotions are connected. So it's really important that we allow space and depth to feel the hard things, to feel the grief, to feel the pain, to feel the heartache. We are emotionally constipated as a society. We truly, truly, truly are. I mean, if you think about this, like emotionally constipated, it means that we are holding so much tension of emotions in our body that we don't even know. We have no idea how much we have suppressed because it has become so ingrained in us to just carry on as normal, carry on as normal. Oh, something bad happens? Okay, just carry on as normal, carry on as normal. And this is like this robotic kind of attitude that like we have been programmed to just like suppress and be robots and like, I don't feel, nothing bothers me, I am good, I am fine. It's like, it's so fake. It's so fake. Like, what are you passionate about? What gets you going? What upsets you? Because I could name like at least 20 things that are currently going on in the world right now that like really, really deeply upset me. And like if I had to think about it for too long, would probably make me start crying. Like because the world is such an intense place, we have used emotional suppression as a tool to cope. Unhealthy, toxic coping mechanism is suppressing, is disconnecting, is disassociating. Okay, and so all of the emotions are in the body, and this is why we get stuck in our head, because actually to be present in our body, it's scary because there is like 10, 20 plus years worth of suppressed emotional baggage living in our cells, living in our DNA, living dormant in the fascia of our body. Literally, our cells have a cellular memory. Everything that we have gone through that we have not processed on a deep, cathartic, somatic level is sitting in our body, is sitting in our cells. Okay? Our body is very, very, very intelligent. And so when we tell our body, no, not now, I don't want to feel that, suppress, numb, the body doesn't just chuck it in the trash. Like even this concept of like throwing it away in real life, there's no such thing because landfills exist. And they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's the same in your body. There's no such thing as away. There's no such thing as buried. When something is buried, it's just piling up and 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 up. And it becomes this massive landfill, if you will, of emotions, emotional gunk sitting in the body. It's so, so important that we allow ourselves to feel the darkness, to become one with the dark emotions of grief, of rage, of pain, of betrayal, of letdown, disappointment. It is deep and it's actually pretty intense. Especially because majority of us do not know how to feel. We do not know how to feel. We do not know how to process. We do not understand how to connect with the intensity of these darker emotions. The only way to heal is by feeling. The only way that we can let go of this emotional gunk in our bodies is to feel, is to process, is to let it out. Let the rage out. Let the grief out. Let it out, babe. Stop holding on. You are holding on too tightly. And I'm trying to give you the permission slip that it is okay to let it out. It is okay to be messy. It is okay to be chaotic. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to not know. It is okay to be confused. Because the emotional journey of feeling your emotions is a fucking roller coaster. And you have to allow yourself to ride that roller coaster. You have to. It is okay. Please. I cannot tell you like how many hours I have spent lying in my room like a fucking sad ball, messy creature, animal, just in the fetal position, holding myself, like crying my eyes out. Like really, really, I have spent so many hours just crying and crying and crying and crying for myself, for my generational trauma, for, my ancestors, for all of you guys, like for the collective. And that's just one of my gifts. I feel so deeply that I feel for the collective as well. And that's what happens when you allow yourself to feel. You end up feeling and processing stuff that goes beyond just you. And I think that's also why people are resistant to feel, because they know that when they start to feel, like all this other stuff is going to come up, and maybe they're scared. Maybe you feel scared that when is it going to stop? If I start crying now, like, will I ever stop? If I start, letting my rage out, will it ever stop? And so this is about cultivating a relationship with yourself that is intimate and that is sacred, and where you know that you can hold yourself no matter what. You've got yourself no matter what. You can hold space for yourself no matter what, because you love yourself no matter what. Like, there was a long time where I felt a lot of sadness because the only people that could hold space for me on a deep, proper level were the people that I paid to. Therapists and coaches and healers. And then I realized, like, this is not anyone's fault, like, this is not the fault of my parents or my friends or, whoever in my life. It's just the fact that, like, we as humans are emotionally a little bit retarded. We are emotionally constipated. And I don't mean this in a judgmental way. I mean this in like a very like sincere, compassionate, like loving, empathetic way. Like, we are a little bit emotionally retarded. We are emotionally stunted. We are emotionally immature. And we just have not learned how to hold space for someone else that's going through an intense experience, that's going through an intense process, without making it mean something about ourselves. Because we have not been taught about emotional regulation. We have not been taught about nervous system health, nervous system regulation. And so we've not been taught, how do I stay calm and collected and regulated so that I can hold space for my friend, for my partner, for my family member that's going through this really intense emotional cathartic expression, and not get triggered myself, okay? Because we can co-regulate, but we also get co-dysregulated. So dysregulation and co-regulation, they spread from human to human, kind of like a virus. And so if you can be the calm, regulated person in a room full of crazy people, or, in a room where someone, let me put this different, in a room where someone is going through an intense emotional expression, they are going to be able to get through that experience so much faster, so much more efficiently, because emotions, they only really last 90 seconds. And anything longer than that is our attachment to it. And sometimes we do need to be able to cry for half an hour, because like that's, what we weren't allowed to do at the age of 4, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. We weren't allowed that opportunity. So like, give yourself the permission right now, today, at however old you are now, to give yourself that permission. But someone who's able to hold space for you in a loving, calm way, they're going to help you come back to your center so much faster, because when you feel safe and held in that environment, it's going to nourish your nervous system to process and then come back. Process and then come back. process, and then come back. Okay, it's about riding the wave of the emotions, riding that wave. Sometimes we go up and sometimes we go down. Sometimes we go up and sometimes we go down. And so you can hold space for yourself to do this. If you have, a good enough relationship with yourself, you've been practicing mindfulness, you have these emotional, energetic nervous system tools, or the best way to do this is through therapy, is by working with a therapist. I've had so much empowerment through working with body de-armoring therapists and therapists that focus on, I literally had this therapist, Olivia Crowcombe. She's incredible. I actually did a podcast with her, episode 14, called Conscious Relating. So if you haven't listened to that, definitely go back and check that one out. It's called de-armoring, body de-armoring, and basically she will start to touch you in points on your body and press deeply and then ask you to start to sound the emotion or the pain that's coming from that part of the body. And as you start to make sound, you start to feel deeper, and she presses deeper, and suddenly all this emotion starts to come up, and suddenly you're crying your eyes out, and then suddenly you're screaming, and you've realized that the scream that is coming out of me in that moment is a scream that I've been suppressing for 20 something years. And I didn't realize how deeply I needed to let that scream go in that moment. And there the therapist is holding the space, saying it's okay, saying you're safe, saying scream as loud as you want. Because I think another thing that can come from the emotional experience is that we often are scared of how our emotional expression is going to impact other people. And therefore, we mitigate and control our emotional expression based on how we think other people are going to react. And so this is also another control mechanism. It's another ego suppression mechanism. And so this is why you need to have a safe space in your room, lock the door. If you have housemates, just tell them that you just need some space, screaming into a pillow and just being like, I don't give a fuck who hears me cry. I don't give a fuck. Yes, we are always told our emotions are too much. We are always told this. We are made to think that we are too much for being emotional. But guess what? Being a human is too much. It is overwhelming. Look at the world around us. There is so much overwhelming shit that is going on. Being a human is about embracing the too muchness experience. Feeling emotions, it does feel too much. But for most people, even just a tiny bit of emotion feels too much. Whereas for me, I have to get to a really intense level for it to feel too much, right? Because I have basically cultivated this capacity to feel. It really is about cultivating our capacity to feel. Cultivating, and that's actually what I'm going to title this episode, cultivating our capacity to feel. Because if you have never gone to these very intense, deep places with yourself, just a little bit of emotion is going to feel too much, right? What capacity can you handle, and how can you continuously push the edge of your own capacity? How can you continually give yourself the permission to explore your own capacity, explore the edges of your capacity, and push that edge of your capacity every single time, just by a little bit, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Because the edge of your capacity for anything, pain or pleasure, that's where you grow. That's where you become a new version of yourself. That's where you meet new versions of yourself. And that's where you get to know an entire new version of yourself. That's where you come out of that experience and you're like, wow, I didn't know I had that strength. Wow, I didn't know I had that depth. Wow, I didn't know that I could go there. But now that I've proved to myself, what else am I capable of, right? And so when we can push ourselves in one area of life, it allows us to take more risks and push ourselves in other areas of life. And this is what I love about working with therapists, is because they will push you to your edge and then maybe take you just one step further, and then they will hold you there. They won't allow you to go further, because sometimes when we go further than our capacity, this is when we can disassociate. This is when we can start to hyperventilate or start to freak out or become like hyper dysregulated and actually become almost a danger to ourselves, danger to others. And so this is why, these types of experiences are best done with a therapist or with a coach. Like I have definitely taken myself there beyond my capacity into spaces where I have been a danger to myself. I have been a danger to other people, to my family. I have hurt myself in emotional and physical abusive ways, and so this is something I think that we are scared of. We are scared of our own power. We are scared of our capacity to feel so much energy, so much power like coursing through our veins. I have been there. I have literally gotten high. I have literally had a psychedelic experience on my own emotional energy. It is intense, and it is also extremely powerful at the same time, because you allow yourself to feel so much energy, so much emotion, so much intensity all in one go. And it really it redefines your relationship with yourself. It redefines your energetic capacity. It redefines what you are capable of handling. But a lot of people are scared to go there. And I have been like in that space, and I've been scared of myself. And so that's why I have also, utilized the support of therapists and coaches to be in those spaces, but be held in a safe space, right? On a fundamental level, feeling this intensely is never going to be quote unquote safe, because on a deep level, it does feel unsafe to feel deep things like we've never felt them before. But we have to allow ourselves to go there. We have to allow ourselves to feel the intensity of our emotions, because the deeper you can feel your pain and the more you make space to honor and worship the holiness of anger, of rage, of pain, of sadness, of heartache. Okay, the more you allow for that, the space to feel those things, the darkness, the more you can allow for yourself to feel the pleasure. Pain and pleasure are two sides of the same coin. And so the greater you feel your pain, the more you can feel your pleasure. And it just comes onto a fundamental level of like, the more you can feel one thing, the more you can feel the other. And so you stop living in this like neutral state, and you actually become like passionate, and you actually become like charged, and you actually become energized. And this gives you vitality. Emotions are just energy and motion, and they also allow for your life force to flow, because when your life force is flowing, this allows for things to not get stuck in your body, experiences, emotions to not get stuck. And when they get stuck, this builds up trauma. This builds up resentment. This builds up energetic blocks and self-limiting beliefs, and like that like sticky like, I can't do it, like I don't think I can. We limit ourselves really. But when we allow for us to be in the flow, to be in the feeling, to be in that cathartic expression of the emotion, that is when we can allow for the things to flow and really just prevent the trauma of an experience, the trauma of an emotion from getting stuck in the body. And then it's, a problem for the future version self. And that's not nice. So deal with it then and there. Allow yourself to feel in the moment. Allow yourself to take a step back, take a step away, to feel, to process. Okay, your processing is your individual responsibility. So allow yourself that space. Take yourself out of the space. Find a way that you can make it safe enough for you to feel. If you need to step away, like excuse yourself. If you need to reflect, if you need to go on a walk, if you need to do whatever you need to do, allow yourself that. Give yourself that permission slip, okay? It is so important. So important. I didn't get to speak about light versus dark feminine, but I will definitely make a point to speak about that in another podcast. I think I needed to just speak about this basic emotional capacity and our capacity to feel as like a foundation for why it's so important for us to be anchored in our darkness and to have a relationship with our darkness, because the more we have a relationship with our darkness, and this is what I have found on a fundamental level. I was a very dark person for a very long time. I overly identified with my dark emotions. I was very attached. I was very comfortable in feeling the pain, the sadness, the heartbreak, the trauma, the rage. I was very overly identified with that part of me. And so I had to learn to heal and become disidentified with that part of me and learn to embrace more lighter ways of being. But because I have this very intimate relationship with my darkness, it has now allowed me to have a more balanced, holistic understanding of what it means to be human, and also have a much more intimate relationship with my lightness, where I really allow myself to feel on such a deep level. And now, like, I giggle all the time, I laugh all the time, everything is so much lighter and easier, and I struggle less because I have this balance of duality, because I am more whole. And so this is when we come to live in the heart space. We have worked our way through the mud and the chaos and the messiness of the lower chakras, and we have worked through the consciousness and the lightness and the awareness of the upper chakras, and we come to live in the middle. We come to sit in the center. And the reason I am so embodied is because of everything that I have spoken about. It's because I do not shame myself for feeling the difficult emotions. It's because I make it a priority to feel and to allow myself the space to feel. And if other people cannot handle my emotions, or if other people try to shame me or try to say you're overreacting or like calm down or whatever, I don't take it on. I just say, well, okay, that's your inability to understand my emotional experience, and therefore your inability to have an emotional maturity to what I'm going through. And so I don't make it about me. I used to in the past. I very much used to, but not anymore. Now I take responsibility for my emotions, and I know that emotions are sacred and they are holy, and they are also messengers, okay? I would never feel sad for no reason, just like I would never feel happy for no reason, okay? Emotions are messengers, and they are truth tellers. They are telling you something about yourself. They are trying to inform you about an experience. Or just like rage and anger is very much an emotion that informs us about our boundaries being overstepped. Pain and heartache is an emotion that informs us about how deeply we care. We get to know ourselves on a very deep, intimate level when we start to have a relationship with our emotions in this way. So please take this message as a fat permission slip. It is so important. Please feel your feelings. Please give yourself the space. It is so vital. I love you. I'm here for you. Please reach out. I have a few spaces open right now for one-to-one coaching. If anything I have said resonates with you, I would love to work with you. I would love to help you find more wholeness in your being, more integration between your pain and your pleasure, more embodiment in your experience of life, help you process and help you find the tools. Really, it's about having the tools. Okay? We become more confident in our emotional expression when we have tools to manage the difficult emotions and manage the hard, overwhelming feelings, uncomfortable feelings. It's all around having the tools to cope and to deal with it in a healthy way. There are healthy coping mechanisms and there are unhealthy coping mechanisms. Having tools are healthy coping mechanisms. So please reach out. I would love to work with you. I have spots open. I have 2 spots open for 6-week container, and I have 2 spots open for a 3-month, 12-week container. If you are based in South Africa, I have separate prices for South Africans Asians versus Europeans and Americans. So please reach out. There are also payment plans available. And I will also be launching my group coaching program, Liberated Womb, my 6-week signature program for the second round at the end of October. So if that's something you're also interested and you would like more information on that, please reach out or see more information in the description below. I love you. I'm sending you infinite love, infinite light, and infinite blessings. Remember who you are. Remember that you are a being of light and dark. You cannot have one without the other. No mud, no lotus. Mwah. Many blessings. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode and engage with all the wisdom that was shared. If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice, as this really helps this wisdom reach new people. If you have any questions or queries, please feel free to reach out to me via Instagram DM or send me an email. You can follow me on my personal account on Instagram at Josie, Josie _Thorne, THORNE, or you can follow Sync and Flow, my business accounts, at Sync, that's spelled SYNC _in_flow. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or queries you may have. Otherwise, get in contact to book a free discovery call to start your self-healing spiritual journey today. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, loves.